All right, you guys, welcome back. I've got two screens here, so I gotta remember where the camera is. So we are moving on to absolute value inequalities, but we need to do just a quick mini lesson on compound inequalities, because if I don't talk about compound inequalities and you have no frame of reference, I'll lose you when I start talking about absolute value inequalities. Okay, so some of you, this may be completely new. And if it is, I'm sorry. Last year, Math 2, for some of you, spring semester wasn't ideal. So if for some reason this bothers you or you need extra help on this part, sign up for tutoring and we can get you squared away. Okay. If you're comfortable with solving equations, you'll be just fine solving inequalities. And really, what I'm probably going to teach you is more what it means to be a compound inequality. Okay, so if I look here on the right, it says solve each compound inequality and graph its solution. All right, now let me give you some nice little hints about the infinite algebra approach to compound inequalities. You're going to have two answers because you have two equations or two inequalities. And if I say equations, I'm really sorry. I should say inequalities. You have two separate inequalities that you'll be solving. Okay. They give you a predetermined number line. If your answer to the first inequality and the second inequality, if those two numbers are not somewhere between -4 and +8, that's a indication you've done something wrong. So you get this nice little hint. Now that's not always going to be true on other assignments or other programs, but in this particular program, which is where your assignment comes from, there's your first hint. If your answers, you'll have two of them, are not between -4 and 8, something's wrong. All right, so let's just jump right in because we are just solving. Okay, that's the first step to these. So a over 9 greater than or equal to 0. And we'll talk about what that means in a moment. 7a less than 42. Okay, so let's just look right here on this left-hand side inequality. All right, I need to isolate the variables, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. So 9. So the 9's cancel, and I get a greater than or equal to, and 0 times 9 is 0. All right, then and I need to solve this inequality. So 7a, I need to divide both sides by 7. So I get a less than 6. Okay, so that's a good first step and good start because I have this number line here and I've got 0 and I've got 6. So those two answers are between -4 and 6. Okay, all right. Now it's not super easy for me to draw on my screen. Well, let me see. Yeah, no. So I'm going to recopy this number line on my piece of paper. Now, I'm not going to redraw all the different numbers. Okay. So we have 0, we have 6. Okay. Now, this part you should remember. You should remember your teacher asking you to graph the inequality. All right. So that means we need to decide if we have an open or closed circle. So if I have greater than or equal to, that is a closed circle. Okay, and if I want A to be greater than or equal to 0, greater than means I shade to the right. All right, now A is less than 6. Okay, if it's less than, it's an open circle, and if it's less than, I shade to the left. All right, so now I have shaded in between. Okay, so this is my final answer. Now, it's the graph and this. There is an alternate way to write this final answer. So this is the first version, okay? And if I click over here, look what popped up in red, okay? So you can see my graph matches. That's a good thing. But look at this approach right here to writing the answer, okay? This is what's considered a compound statement, compound inequality, okay? Um, when they write it this way, this is considered shorthand, and this is the go-to approach. How do I do that? Okay, this is what I tell all my students. Look at your number line. Okay, all you have to do is you just have to take this variable, which is A, put it in the middle, and then it'll always be the less than symbol, never be the greater than symbol. You just match up the fact that you had a greater than or equal to, so make sure you put a line underneath it. And then you take this one and you have this one, okay? Because what this is saying, and this is why I like this approach, is that A is in between 0 and 6, okay? So A is between 0 and 6, okay? And that's the preferred final answer. Okay, so you have this one where they put the word and in between it, or you have this one where they don't write the word and. Okay, I will accept either one. Okay, especially in this particular assignment, I will accept either one. Okay, all right, let's try another one. I'm going to take this off. Let's not do an or. There we go. So 7m plus 3 less than 66 and 4m plus 6 greater than or equal to negative 18. Okay? All right, so just like I did the last problem, I'm going to solve each inequality on their own, and then I'm going to graph it. And here's my hint. Okay? So they've counted it off by 2's. So this goes to negative 8, and this goes up to 12. Okay? So that means my answers, okay, when I solve, should be somewhere between negative 8 and 12. All right, so I'm just going to jump right in. If I want to get m by itself, I'm going to subtract 3. So I get 7m less than 63. Going to divide by 7. So I get m less than 9. Okay, and that's good. That's on the number line up there that they gave me. All right, now I'm going to take 4m plus 6 greater than or equal to negative 18. All right, I'm going to subtract 6. So that gives me 4m greater than or equal to negative 24. I'm going to divide by 4. So I get m greater than or equal to negative 6. Okay? All right, and then I'll bring down and write the word and. So there's my first answer. Okay? All right, so I've solved it. So in terms of the directions, I've solved it. All right, now let's graph the solution. Now again, since I'm recopying it, I'm not going to draw the whole thing. Okay? So I need to put negative 6 on the correct side of the number line, because if 0 was here, negative 6 would be on the left, and 9 would be over here. All right, so it doesn't matter which one I graph first. So a less than sign gives me an open circle at 9, and I shade to the left. Notice for that first step, I don't shade all the way across because I have this number right here that I need to account for. All right, so m is greater than or equal to negative 6. Well, greater than or equal to is closed circle, and I shade this way. Okay? All right, so that means my values are between negative 6 and 9. Okay? So I need to write that alternate statement. Okay? And really, it's just for practice because, like I said, I'll accept this one or this one. You've already got this version, so you're good in terms of having a final answer. But let's practice. It's going to be negative 6 less than or equal to m less than 9. Okay, because I just used that number line and I put m in the middle. I put less than or equal to because it was an equal to over here. Remember, it's always less than. And then I put less than here because there was no line underneath it. It was just strictly less than. Okay, so there's my other answer. All right, I'm going to come back in another video and I'm going to do ors, but now let's just write down a couple of things to remember. All right, so if you have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, you want to do a closed circle when you graph. Okay, if you have less than or greater than, you want to do an open circle. Okay, all right, now when you shade, if it's less than or equal to or less than, you will shade left. If it's a greater than or equal to or a greater than, you will shade to the right. Okay, so there's your little cheat sheet for how to do the remainder of the problems. Okay, all right, so I will come back in another video and I will do problems that have the word or.